15-yard line. Tannehill throws down the middle, caught by Stills. Laterals back to Butler, or rather Parker, who flips it to Drake. He runs across the 40 of New England, angling inside to the 30, 25.
And it's Drake! Drake House has got a tackle! No way! No way! No way! It's over the way! Unbelievable! Are you kidding me? That is unbelievable! I don't believe what I just saw!
Yep.
Well, that got us thinking. How about the best laterals we have seen over the years? Duriel Harris here catches the pass, the right side of the field, to Tony Nathan, who runs it in for the easy touchdown. That was 1982 in the AFC divisional round.
Looking lateral.
The epic in Miami. Then the Music City Miracle. Kickoff Tennessee, 16 seconds on the clock. Frank Wycheck throws a controversial across-field lateral to Kevin Dyson. 75 yards he will travel. That was in 2000.
There are no flags on the field. It was unbelievable.
Has it really been 2000? It's really been that long.
It was Buffalo's last playoff game. So exactly how you got back to them.
No, I know. It's crazy to look. Our own Randy Moss here, Dante Culpepper, a deep ball to Moss, who laterals over to Mo Williams. Boom. Touchdown.
Over the head. Look at this.
Like over the head and behind the back. I mean, what?
That's probably what got him in Hall of Fame right there.
Yeah, that's it.
Not all the receiving.
River City Relay. Saints trail by 7. This is 03. Aaron Brooks to Dante Stallworth. He breaks some tackles. Michael Lewis laterals to Deuce McAllister, who sends the third and final lateral to Jerome Papin, who runs it 24 yards for the score.
Looked like it. That looked more chaotic and less.
Yeah.
Yes.
Throw there by Deuce, actually. Oh yeah.
Up and over, and then in. There you go. And then, of course,
Jim Haslett.
oh, extra point.
Oh,
Nope.
that was back when
That's-
extra
you
points
think?
were easy too.
He's thinking
it
that
shouldn't
shouldn't
What?
be the hard part.
Yeah.
It was
This
the
guy
other.
of the game? No.
Yeah.
Not so
Oh
much.
man. I'm calling this lateral damage. I don't care what that says right there, because I like that better. Kenny Stills, Devontae Parker, Kenyon Drake.
He's supposed to flip
And
it
he's
in.
supposed to, exactly. It looks
Yes.
almost busted at that
Come on,
point.
bro.
The good news is that's the fastest guy left. Rather than lateral to a slow guy, he
Yeah,
kept it.
and he's in real
Yeah.
trouble.
Yeah.
I
There we
think you
go.
take the slow guys off the field. That's
Yeah.
how you need to do it.
Yeah, because you don't want them to end up with the last one.
Exactly
Yeah,
right.
see how that works? Figured that out. All right, we got the panic button back, because that obviously doesn't happen. A lot of things have to go right and wrong on both sides if the Patriots don't make some mental errors there. Not typical of New England, but are we panicked or are we patient when it comes to the Patriots' mental mistakes, if you will? Coach, we'll let you kick
I'm
off.
going to stay patient. I think, again, I picked them actually in a little game we play here at ESPN, to win out.
A little game.
I was a little
Little game we
disappointed
like to
actually when I
play.
saw that, but I know, again, these guys know how to handle December. Granted, they made some mistakes, whether it was Tom's hold on to the ball there before half, or even on that Hail Mary / rugby situation at the end of the Miami game. But I really like them moving forward. It's hard to pick against them in December, and I look for them to be just fine.
I tend to agree, although all of New England is on some sort of,
Of course they are,
they
because
need
they
to breathe,
overreact. But there's
collective, take a collective breath.
fair enough. I'm patient as well. I mean, look, Gronkowski actually looked healthy. He was in a game they lost, Gronk played pretty well. Sony Michel was back in the lineup. Look, they have a bad mistake. Coach said it. Bad mistake at the end of the half. Bad mistake at the end of the game. Those are such outliers for New England. We don't see them do it, and I doubt that we're going to see them make that mistake twice in the same season. I just think that when adversity hits them in some way, for some reason, they respond better than most teams respond. This seems like a kind of a situation where they're going to feel like one got away, and they're going to end up going on a run here. And I also think, when people have talked about this, for whatever reason, playing in Miami has been hard for that team in general. It's been hard for Brady.
They definitely have a mental block.
I would not want to be the team that plays New England next, which happens to be the Steelers, because I feel like, to that end, but you're going to
Yeah,
play.
Ooh.
No, he doesn't.
For one reason, right? Yes, at Miami's tough for them, but at a lot of places have been tough for them this year. Bad losses in Tennessee, in Detroit. They have not been a very good road team. Now, they're still in the 2 seed, but they're not locked into the 2 seed yet. If they end up having to go on the road in the playoffs, that's a different situation for the Patriots historically. Brady and Belichick Patriots are 19-3 in playoff home games, 3-4 when they're the visiting team in a playoff game. That's a pretty big difference. Have not won a road playoff game since 2006. So they need one of those top 2 seeds.
Numbers.
Why don't we go with the numbers? Numbers help. I
know,
just tell you what I think. Here's what I think the Patriots are done.
Fair.
I don't. But I think they benefit from having those January games in Foxborough, and if they don't, then I think they're a little bit closer to the pack. And the way they've performed on the road this year
it has been
is a concern for them going into the playoffs.
All right, well, I talked about the Steelers, so let's talk about the Steelers a bit more. I like the way Trey Wingo put it. He called them the anti-Mariano Rivera's of the season. They just can't close out these games. They've had trouble. Sunday was another example of potential game-tying field goal. It's blocked after Chris Boswell slips just before the kick, and so really they don't even get the kick off, and they will miss this game. Beat by the Raiders. That means they are 7-5-1. Are we panicked or patient on the chances of seeing Pittsburgh in the postseason?
Who's first?
I'll go first.
All right.
I'm going to stay patient as well. And again, part of it is because
very patient.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really a three-way. Mathematically, I think Cleveland's still in it, but both the schedule for the Steelers and the Ravens going down the stretch, somebody's got to win the division. So I'm going to stay patient because I think the Steelers have as good a job as anybody in that division moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. I'm patient as well. There's a lot of talent on that football team, especially on offense. I know Ben's a little bit banged up, but it'll be my anticipation that he plays and plays well. And then when you think about the Ravens, and while the Ravens schedule probably slightly easier than Pittsburgh's schedule, currently Pittsburgh's ahead. And I just look at the Ravens situation. You've got Lamar Jackson with an ankle injury, and how healthy is he? And Joe Flacco, he's coming back, and maybe we're going to see both guys. I just don't know how that quarterback situation works itself out the most critical time of year. I think it's kind of a tricky spot for John Harbaugh to be in and try to figure out how to manage that. And so that's why I'm sticking with Pittsburgh.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I like it, man.
Because, I mean, it's home to New England next week. And whatever I said about Patriots on the road
that back.
does hold up. But it's not an easy game, obviously, for Pittsburgh. And then at New Orleans the week after.
Yeah.
And then they get Cincinnati in Week 17, who they own Cincinnati. But Bengals knocked the Ravens out in Week 17 last year. Wouldn't they love to do the same thing to the Steelers? And then what you say about the Ravens is all true, obviously. But I just think they're playing better. I mean, while the Steelers have been losing 3 games in a row, the Ravens have been finding ways to win games. Had the Chiefs beat before Patrick Mahomes activated whatever mode that was on 4th and 9. So, I mean,
MVP mode.
Right, exactly. If that doesn't happen, then they're riding a 4-game winning streak right now, and they're in first place. So I think they're playing better at the critical time of year, and something's up in Pittsburgh where they blow that double-digit lead to the Chargers a couple weeks ago, and then you lose to the Raiders, who, I mean, I didn't even know the Raiders were still trying to win. And now you're in a situation where you have to find some way to stop the free fall, and it involves beating the Patriots and beating the Saints on the road. That's not easy.
No, it's not easy at all. We talked about sort of the un-Patriot-like mental mistakes. There's been some things in Pittsburgh that don't seem very Steeler-like
throws
either.
by Ben and,
it just hasn't.
Weird.
It hasn't gone well. By the way, here's now a press coverage from Jeremy Fowler. This would help. James Conner has had a productive week of rehab. Coach Mike Tomlin leaving the door open for Conner to play potentially against New England, but a lot, he says, would have to go right. Also, Ben Roethlisberger said on his radio appearance today that he will be on the field on Sunday. Chargers and Chiefs, it's one of the biggest games of the year. The winner could lock down home field advantage throughout the playoffs. The other will ride it out on the road. A live report coming up. A number of big plays when the Chiefs need it most, and they've been magician-like. Sunday, another showcase highlighted by a no-look pass to wide out to Marcus Robinson. He also had that 48-yard dime to Tyreek Hill on 4th down late in this one. Here's Mahomes on that no-look pass.
Describe what goes into a no-look pass, and is it really a no-look pass, or are your eyes just kind of shifty?
I mean, it's pretty much a no-look pass. It's something that kind of happens. I've kind of just started doing as I got to the last years in my college career. But I was looking and I saw D-Rob about to kind of come open, and I needed to move the safety over to the right, and so I just kind of trusted D-Rob was going to be there and put it out there, and he made a great play on it. We trust that we're going to get the first down, and then we trust if something happens, the defense is going to get the ball back to us. And I feel like that's just kind of the mentality this team has, is we're going to be aggressive. We're going to go out there and trust in each other, and we're going to try to win football games.
We're joined now by Michelle Still. And Michelle, the Chiefs got hit by the injury bug Sunday. Both wide receiver Tyreek Hill and running back Spencer Ware were hurt. What is the status with those players?
Yeah, you know what, Wendy? We do have a little bit of news here on a Tuesday afternoon at the Chiefs facility. While Spencer Ware, Sammy Watkins, and left guard Cam Irving will not practice today, wide receiver Tyreek Hill will be at practice. This is a change from yesterday. Yesterday, the team listed him as a DNP, or did not practice. Now, I saw him very briefly in the locker room today. In the brief time that I saw him, he was moving without any encumbrances, let's call it. But obviously, we'll see later today, after we get that injury report, how much he was able to accomplish at practice. And Wendy, I want to mention one thing. I've been in this Chiefs locker room plenty of times. It was the quietest that I have ever seen it there, which certainly speaks to the number of guys getting treatment after a very physical Sunday game and on a short week as well.
It certainly does. That defense, though, Michelle, is playing much better than it did earlier in the season. What's working?
Yeah, everybody talks about this offense, but you know what? The defense has improved markedly over the course of the season, and they're getting to the quarterback. The Chiefs defense actually ranks second overall in sacks, and I spoke to their sack leader just outside the locker room, defensive tackle Chris Jones. He's got 11 and a half sacks so far in the season, and he told me how this defense plans to generate pressure on a savvy vet like Phillip Rivers.
You know, give him different looks. You know, I feel like our front four can definitely get after him. You know, win one-on-one, someone takes two guys and leave the other guys free. You know, we'll find a way to generate some type of pressure, hits, hands, hurries, anything.
Now, Jones has 9 sacks in 9 straight games, and that is an NFL record. One other thing that he mentioned to me that I thought was very interesting, one positive of a short week, he said it's easier to keep that momentum from Sunday's just very gutty, gritted out performance against the Ravens. It's easier for them to take that momentum into Thursday's game. Wendy?
Michelle, thank you. The ultimate glass half full perspective. Well done. Forget how you feel, forget your body, but let's carry that momentum. Listen, we got an update there on injuries. I'll ask you the same thing. Those Chargers running backs a bit banged up. What's the status there?
Yeah, I talked to Chargers coach Anthony Lynn yesterday. I actually said that. I said, it's nice they give you your biggest game of the year in the shortest amount of time to prepare for it. He said, yeah, nothing's easy. Melvin Gordon missed the last couple of games with a knee injury. They're hopeful he can give them something. They just don't know yet because he hasn't been on the practice field to show them what he can do in terms of moving around and cutting on that knee. So Lynn said that, you know, they're hopeful that he can play, probably wouldn't be able to play a full workload, but Austin Eckler, his backup, left Sunday's game with a neck injury. They have Justin Jackson, the rookie, who's played well for them in limited time, but you know, Anthony Lynn said to me, we have good young running backs that we like, but it's definitely a step down when we don't have Melvin in there. So obviously they're hopeful he can at least give them something on Thursday night in a huge, huge game.
They do have, as Michelle put it, a savvy veteran quarterback. Can this Chiefs defense, Tim, do enough to contain Phillip Rivers the way he's been playing?
Listen, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a good defense. They can get after him. There's no question about that. The thing I would say about that Chiefs defense is they play a massive amount of man coverage. And I think if you look at, you know, just what the Chargers do on offense, they've got big wide receivers, guys that can win one-on-one stuff. I think Ken Wisenhut's done a good job of devising stuff this season. It feels like Phillip Rivers sees things in a similar fashion, and because of that, I actually think Phillip Rivers is going to end up playing well against that defense when you know you're going to get so much man.
Both of you, and Coach, you and Tim, reacted visibly when you heard Patrick Mahomes talking about what he said was essentially, yes, a no-look pass. What's going through your mind?
Oh, he definitely has the no-look pass. I saw it live in person in Lubbock, Texas. You know, I saw it on his college tape, and he even asked in a private workout, he says, Coach, you want to see the no-look pass? And I said, you know, I wasn't aware of it yet after looking at the tape. But he showed us on the field there during his workout. So that guy's just phenomenal. He's done some amazing things. What he did in that game to bring him back against the Ravens was amazing. It's going to be a great game, but I like the mobility of Patrick Mahomes, regardless of the rush, because both defenses have good rushes. I just like his opportunity to escape it a little bit better.
I tell you, the Chargers have lost to this team 9 games in a row.
That's another reason. Back to your stats.
And
Back to the numbers.
Talking to Anthony Lynn yesterday, he said, if we can protect the ball, I like our chances. They have the fewest turnovers in the league since the start of last season, 25. 9 of those 25 have come in 3 games against the Chiefs. They have had a very hard time protecting the ball against the Chiefs specifically, and if they can do that, they really feel like they're on equal footing with them.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go back to Mahomes on the no-look pass thing because I'm going to tell you right now, it's crazy. There's no one else doing that.
No.
I think
nobody would ever even attempt to coach it.
Yeah, no,
Or
of course not.
uncoach it,
Honestly, I said this yesterday, and it's the thing that backup quarterbacks do during scout team when they don't care if they throw an interception and they're just doing it, just trying any possible way to find a completion. It's I think what it speaks to is the amount of confidence that he is playing with, that he feels like he can do that. And I also think it speaks to the job that Andy Reid does when coaching quarterbacks, that guys feel enabled to, I think play the way they are comfortable playing. I think that's the best thing that Andy does as a coach, is he, in many ways is running a lot of same plays as he's always run, but he lets the quarterback kind of put their own personality on the offense, which Mahomes clearly has done.
Hey, there's no question. He's got a great personality. You're seeing it. He's confident. I mean, it seems like the sky's the limit for this kid. We'll see. With 3 weeks to go, the Ravens are currently in the playoffs, but will the Colts or Dolphins knock them out? We'll play mild or wild next.